When we think about getting a competitive edge in business, our minds usually jump straight to one thing: speed. How fast can we close the books? How quickly can we grow? But what if I told you the real secret to winning in finance today isn't about being the fastest, but about being the most reliable? So that brings us to a really important question. When it comes to accounting, what's actually the most valuable thing? Is it shaving a day or two off your financial close? Or is it the kind of deep, unwavering trust that underpins every single number you put out there? Look, speed is great. It gets all the headlines. But the true bedrock, the foundation of any world-class finance operation, is consistency. We're talking about rock-solid, predictable results, month in and month out. This is what keeps you compliant, what keeps your investors confident, and what allows your leaders to make genuinely smart decisions. So, over the next few minutes, here's what we're going to do. We'll start by talking about the hidden dangers of what seem like small flaws. Then, we'll get into a really powerful solution: dedicated teams. We'll look at some real-world examples, map out exactly how to build this kind of partnership, and finally, show you how this becomes your new strategic edge. All right, first up, the danger of small flaws. The big idea here is so simple, but it's absolutely critical. See, in accounting, minor issues never, ever stay minor. They have a way of compounding over time, literally snowballing into major risks for the whole business. And I'm willing to bet you've seen these things firsthand. Things like a month-end close that just varies in quality, or different reporting formats that confuse everybody. Or maybe it's incomplete audit documents that cause a scramble, the huge loss of knowledge when a key person leaves, or that dipped in quality during the absolute chaos of tax season. Sound familiar? Each one of these little issues is like a tiny crack in your company's foundation. On its own, yeah, it might seem harmless, but put them together and they start to erode that crucial institutional knowledge, making it impossible to maintain the same standards, especially when people change or the pressure is on. Okay, so what's the fix? Well, that brings us to our second section: the dedicated team solution. Now, this isn't about what you might think of as traditional outsourcing. This is about a fundamental shift in your mindset, moving away from a simple transaction and toward a real strategic partnership. So the model we're talking about is very specific: dedicated offshore teams. And let's be super clear here. These are not just interchangeable bodies you can swap in and out. No, these are stable, long-term teams that work exclusively with you. They learn your systems inside and out, they absorb your expectations, and they really do become a true extension of your own department. The real magic trick here? It's continuity. When you have the same team working with you cycle after cycle, they don't just learn your policies. They get the history and the context behind your numbers. This just about eliminates knowledge loss. It guarantees a smooth process every single time. And it creates this amazing feedback loop where accuracy and efficiency just keep getting better. All right, this all sounds great in theory, right? But let's see how it actually plays out where it counts. Our third section is all about consistency in the real world. We're going to look at how this approach delivers tangible, proven results in some pretty high-stakes areas of accounting. Let's break it down across 3 key areas. For fund accounting, consistency is all about protecting investor confidence. For CPA firms, it's the key to standardizing how you deliver your services. And for personal tax, well, it's what makes sure you deliver high quality even during the craziest peak seasons. Take fund management. For an investor, consistency is trust, plain and simple. Even a tiny deviation in how a net asset value is calculated can plant a seed of doubt. A consistent process isn't just good operations, it's literally a shield for your reputation. Now, what about CPA firms, especially the ones that are growing fast? A standardized delivery framework is an absolute game changer. It means your work paper quality and your turnaround times become totally predictable and reliable for every single client. And you know what that does? It frees up your US-based teams to focus on the high-value stuff, like client advisory and strategy. And then you've got tax season, the ultimate stress test, right? This is where sloppy, inconsistent processes just completely fall apart. But by building a repeatable system with a dedicated team, the quality you deliver during that April fire drill is identical to the quality you deliver in October. That kind of reliability is a massive competitive advantage. So maybe you're sold on the idea, but the big question is, how do you actually make it happen? That brings us to section 4, how to build a partnership. Because this level of consistency, it doesn't just happen by accident. You have to build it intentionally with a very clear framework.
So here's the framework for success. It has 4 essential steps. First, you have to define the scope and expectations with absolute clarity, no gray areas. Second, and listen, this one is non-negotiable. You have to insist on a dedicated team that works only for you. This prevents them from context switching and makes sure they are focused. Third, you document all your workflows and timelines together. And fourth, you create a constant feedback loop with open communication. That's how the partnership grows and evolves.
And all of this leads us to our final and, honestly, our most important point: how consistency stops being just a best practice and turns into your new strategic edge.
If you only take away one thing from our chat today, let it be this: consistency is built, not assumed. You can't just cross your fingers and hope your numbers will be reliable. You have to intentionally engineer the systems, the processes, and, most importantly, the partnerships that guarantee it.
So I'll leave you with this question. If your own financial outcomes feel unpredictable, if you're tired of constantly fighting fires and dealing with last-minute surprises, then isn't it time to stop just assuming you'll get consistency and start building a more dependable way forward?